Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a fun and unique racing game by the name of Hot Wheels Turbo Racing that was developed by Stormfront Studios and published by Electronic Arts in 1999. The game also did get a release on the Nintendo 64 console, and it is based on the popular Hot Wheels toy franchise that was really popular back in the 90s. If you remember growing up, seeing all the advertisements on TV during the commercials of your favourite kids programs, you'd usually find or see a Hot Wheels advertisement usually thrown into the mix. And if you were a kid at that time, it was straight away, it was one of those things that you just had to get, as the style of the toys themselves were always really cool, with the types of the fast and frantic gameplay pretty much when you were playing with the tracks and so forth. So eventually, because it was that popular, it was eventually transitioned into a full-on video game series that went on to have multiple releases on both the PlayStation 1 and eventually the PlayStation 2, even up until recent consoles. So Hot Wheels Turbo Racing was the first entry on the series for the PlayStation 1, and the game itself got above average to decent reviews, averaging around 70% or 71% or 7 out of 10 in most game magazines, and it was highly praised to the level of the likes of the gameplay, the style. It had a fun and quirky nature about it that definitely captured the essence of the Hot Wheels franchise, where you drive around different types of specific themed tracks with a total of 40 playable vehicles that you unlock throughout the course of play. You either win them by winning specific races or events, or you can actually find hidden cars throughout each of the tracks. And this is my first overall playthrough of the game, as I remember going back in the day I had actually seen it in game stores, but I'd never gotten the chance to play the game outright. It was one of those games that always kind of got away from me, so by playing it now I get to see what all the fuss is about, and I have to say I'm actually very impressed with it. I do like the graphics, I like the visual style of it, and it's very reflective and really cartoony, and it really suits the theme that it's going for. The gameplay does work really well. It does play to a decent standard, although the controls can be a little bit on the fiddly side, as you'll notice when you get into the game further on. When you go through a lot of the tournaments, each of the tournaments gradually increases in its difficulty to a point that when you get to some of the last tournaments, that the computer AI is ramped up to its highest level, and it's very hard to win races. You do have to be very precise in how your driving ability is, but not only that, when you're going to utilise stunts, because by utilising stunts it helps you to fill up your nitro or turbo bar so that you can gain speed boosts throughout each of the races. So you do need to do that and to be very good at it to be able to win the race, but again it's just due to trial and error. But apart from that, the game is fun even with the fiddly controls, because when you're doing stunts it can be very sensitive and you'll crash a lot. But the gameplay is very fun and it's very quirky. There's a lot here to keep you coming back for more, and even with regards to the cars that are available, there is a lot of unlockable tracks which you will get to unlock as you play through the game also. And with the types of levels, there's different types of views that you can use, where from behind the car, and you can go through different distances, to even going through like an out car view where you can see just like from bonnet, almost like a first person style view. And that view in the game is pretty cool, because when you're driving along most of the tracks it almost gives you the feeling that you're actually on a roller coaster, because it just gives you that sensation because of the colourful areas of some of the segments of each of the tracks. It really does make you feel like you are part of some sort of theme park, which is pretty cool. It really captures that element very well. And coupled with that, with each track, there's loads of hidden areas to explore, which, going back to finding the hidden cars, a lot of the times when you're going through the races it's not always about winning. Each track has one unique hidden car that you can try and find, so you have to try and find each of the different shortcuts and different areas, and you'll have a good time exploring, trying to find out all those areas to see if you can find the hidden cars and unlock everything that's in the game. So all in all, it's actually quite a fun title to play. And having played this myself, I spent a bit of time with it, and there is a lot of tracks, there is definitely a lot of cars. Now they're not really different in terms of the handling. Some of the cars you do notice the handling physics in the game, but some of them are definitely easier to use than others. You also do have the ability to use power-ups, where you can gain massive speed boosts, even to a point where you can get one particular power up that actually gives you more grip, so it actually increases the handling of the car, which the handling of the cars itself is okay for the most part, but this definitely makes it a wee bit easier. And even with some of the other power ups, they do give some advantages, but also they can give some disadvantages as well. But when you do use speed boosts in some of the tracks, you can go in opposite directions, which means if you hit an opponent head on, you can actually make them explode, so you can destroy them if you hit them with enough speed. So it does give you an advantage. But the level design and the quirky style nature of the levels is really cool, because like I mentioned, a lot of times you feel like you're driving around in a theme park, but then you have all these massive like loops where you're driving and going up and down them, and especially when you go into like the first person mode, it really does make you feel like you're on a roller coaster. It definitely gives you that sensation, so it is a fun element. But each of the tracks do have their own various themes, anything from like industrial complexes even to the likes of horror style themes, like where you're going through kind of like a graveyard as such. So there definitely is a lot of really cool elements. So it definitely is a fun game. And with it being published by Electronic Arts, the funny thing is I can't help but feel that even with the music, as it does have music from well-known artists, and it even has music from the likes of Metallica, it just feels like and has the same vibe of the Need for Speed games from that era as well. It has a very similar look and just visual style of more so even the likes of Need for Speed 2, Need for Speed 3, and even the likes of Road Challenge or High Stakes as it was called. It has a very, very similar kind of like vibe for some reason, even though it's a very different style of game. But the graphics and just the way it plays, it does feel a little bit like a Need for Speed game, because it's fast paced, it's frantic, and there's just something about it that definitely feels like one of those games. Now, it's not the best racer on the system by any means, but it's definitely one of those games that is fun to play. And if you're a fan of the likes of the Hot Wheels franchise, this here is actually worth checking out. And for a PS1 title, it is a lot of fun, although like even regardless of the gripes and the handling and so forth, when you put that aside, there's definitely a lot of fun elements to have. Trying to make sure that you win races while trying not to destroy your car with different type of environment traps or falling off edges and so forth. So there's definitely a lot of challenges to be had within each of the levels in the game. And overall, I thought it was a very fun experience. Very different from a lot of other racing games that I would have played on the PlayStation back in the day. It has a mixture of, like say, Need for Speed, but even almost like a Micro Machine style vibe, if you will. It definitely has that unique element to it. So it has a good mix of a lot of different elements in the game itself, which will appeal to a lot of different audiences. And again, with Hot Wheels, it's still just as popular today as it's ever been, with games being made recently on the more modern systems like the PS4 and PS5, so the franchise is still going strong. But it is really good to go back and to explore a lot of these earlier games, just to kind of get an idea of the styles and what they were thinking about when they were designing these games back then. And even for me personally, it was one of those games that kind of got away from me, where I did see it in the game shops, but I just never really got round to trying it out. And it is one of those games I always did want to kind of have a look at, and I'm glad that I did, because it is actually really good. It's a lot of fun, although challenging, but again, it's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something that is different in terms of racing, and you are even a fan of the Hot Wheels franchise, even if you want to relive that nostalgia from back when you were a kid, this game will definitely fit that bill. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this game if you have played it yourself. Are you a fan of the Hot Wheels franchise? And if so, did you play this game, and what are your thoughts of it? Be sure to share them down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these style of videos where I do gameplay and reviews of other unique and quirky style racing games that were released only on the PlayStation 1, then be sure to leave a like on the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated when future videos are released. And also feel free to check out some of the other videos on the channel where I do provide other similar videos of different and unique quirky style games that were also released on the system, where I do share my thoughts and experiences with everyone. So be sure to check those videos out, and until next time, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.